The Considered Life by Stefan Boublil. Chapter 7. Friendship. When I moved away from home and could no longer count on my original support system, I realized that I had the opportunity to choose who I could surround myself with. A freedom of selection that birthed to an unavoidably specific set of people unfairly robs from us. I look at these self-appointed bonds as matters of great import, because they have, for me, more than complemented blood ties, but displaced them altogether. Having preferred to rely on choice rather than default to relationships natively designed, I've been intent on congregating with others in the human race who feel as I do, neither necessarily about the lack of a signature on Rousseau's social contract, nor Tim Cook's ability to further Steve Jobs' legacy, but about the provision of points of view untold, of perspectives unfamiliar, and interpretations unexplored. The notion, largely forgotten or ignored, that we moderns can and should count on each other to complement ourselves is a prerequisite to living a life considered. It is its high-speed network, its information superhighway, its hypertext transfer protocol, without which one feels rather lonely. Such is the way of friendship. Sure, friendship can be what you feel about the community of people that surround you, those acquaintanceships that populate your world much like a chessboard, filled with those you know and use and those who know and use you, which may sound sinister but is not unusual. In fact, however romantic an image of friendship we may have been baited to pursue because of Lawrence Kasdan movies, most of us comfortably assign purposeful roles to all those around, usually based on a singular facet of their personality and yours. Do you not have a group of friends with whom you partake in different activities? Groups who have probably never met? Groups within which you are a different you? Moving as I did from Paris to New York at 18, an age susceptible to confusion when it comes to interpreting signals from others, I discovered that in friendship, as much as in love, we are indeed at first essentially dealing with strangers, even those overflowing with candy, and cannot mistakenly value excitement over inquiry. Again, that may sound cold and calculating on paper, or tape, but since it is accepted behavior for prospective lovers when wondering if there's a future ahead for them, willing to fail yet working not to, it does not feel like far-fetched conduct for prospective friends to adopt as well. Although delightful byproducts, friendship are not about the occasional hangout, drink, or getting together for the long-awaited pavement reunion in Central Park, but journeys in and of themselves. You and your friends evolve separately, but together you grow, contributing to each other's lives, even if the hierarchy changes with time. That is why we cannot take the other person's attention for granted and must care to regularly maintain it. If you fail to, and he's still calling, he is working double time to keep the friendship alive, a discrepancy that must be addressed by either ablation or apology. Now, exposing yourself to a relative stranger is understandably a favor usually reserved for tentative lovers, because it is a risk we only feel comfortable going through with people we have a chance of getting to third base with. Friends, however, are not usually used to the kind of relationship at which you work, during which practice, attention, honesty, and above all, emotional involvement are involved. Something I was unaware of, having left my contingent in the old country a tad young to have reached any closeness there. I have a feeling that for a lot of people, such intimacy may feel dangerously like a lover's commitment, rather than a friend's. And men especially do not usually dare cross that line, even if only conceptually. Nevertheless, how can one expect to learn anything if uncommitted to the process? Sure, you bank on self-awareness as much as possible, and you are now looking at your life with consideration. But as we either know or will soon find out, there is a fine line between the quest for self-understanding and egomania, a difference your friends will be able to help illuminate for you. They provide a human mirror that actually talks back. At worst, caring for your friends is a selfish way of getting feedback. At best, it is decent. For as long as I can remember, I have searched, as we all tend to, for a tribe I could belong to. A community small enough in numbers as to be genuinely knowable, but large enough in individual ambition that it could provide lifelong cultivation and necessary laughter. But as much as the Village Voice used to accept just about anything at the back of its since-defunct print edition, I never dared to place that ad. Instead, I did what any of us do in the presence of no one. I pressed on intently with personal development, pitted Hegel against Kierkegaard again, and masturbated furiously. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Which is why you also know that any misinformed and misshapen entity that emerges from such natural evolution, less intelligent design than providential survival, still manages to somehow attract and be attracted to others on comparable tracks. And so I was. 10 years into our 20-year relationship, and obviously unimpressed by my recent lackluster participation, my dear friend Gary, whom I have known since our classes at New York University, once called me on my behavior at a sushi bar. I was guilty as charged. There were a few of us at the long wooden counter with my cousin Nicholas, Gary, and I at one end, and our wives and girlfriends at the other. I do not remember what eventually led to this exchange, nor did I agree with Gary's findings in the first half of the bout, but his argument went a little something like this. I am the only one keeping this friendship alive. I am the one calling. I am the one coming over. I am the one doing most of the talking. I always confide in you and never the other way around. You know everything about me from my own mouth, and yours seems on permanent mute. You are letting this decade-long friendship die for no other reason than laziness, and it is infuriating. You are the best friend I have in this city, and if you don't believe we have things to bring to each other, say so. Wait, what? I thought as I searched for a way to respond to what sounded like a reprimand from a jilted lover. As I have heard it said during sports programming I might have seen by chance, the best defense is a good offense. And all I could do, wounded, was to vacuously counterattack. Listen, sweetie, I arrogantly charged. That is what happens when we are so obviously at different levels. We don't understand each other anymore. And if you're not mature enough to deal with it, I'm sorry, but maybe we are done. I don't often acronym, but OMFG. What the fuck just came out of my fucking mouth? Don't call me sweetie again, he boiled back. That is what my mother called me, and I will punch you in the face if you say that again. I wish that he had. The speed with which the message might have traveled through my thick skull would have been worth the black eye and cold compresses. What a dull, thoughtless, self-important piece of shit I was. Those words came out of my 29-year-old mouth, flying like daggers that couldn't care less what they slashed. And before they even made their way from my lips to his ears, they hit my synapses. Hard. I was so wrong, and I knew it. My cousin knew it, our wives and girlfriend knew it. And it took a while for me to slowly skim away pride to understand what he was talking about. Gary was not a jilted lover, not a jealous boyfriend. Rather simply mindful of what he perceived to be important. For him, ours was, and I am proud to say still is, a friendship considered from every angle, and one that he saw then wasted on me. The alarm he decided to sound on this otherwise gentle summer evening was exactly what was needed to wake me up to his reality, that which I now had a chance to consciously appraise for myself, not squander by allowing neglect to cause its predictable ruin. We have since renewed our vows and have lived happily ever till now, gone through the proverbial other side where unsubstantiated presumptions about the other's feelings were not invited. Not realizing that I had calculated him and not loved him when he had done me the honor of the opposite, I justifiably slipped and fell. Not for having been a proverbially bad friend, but for having been careless. The quality of your friends depends on yours. The quality of their love depends on yours. The quality of their understanding depends on yours. Your friends must want to know you, and you them. In short, you must be worth knowing. In short, you must consider your life if it is to eventually be well considered by others. In short, mind your own business. Literally. And if you care about each other, in due course you will learn about each other, and it will be surprising when you discover that your friends are versed in you, when they know what you disapprove of, when they can order for you in restaurants, make valid choices on your behalf, and correctly guess whose side you will take on issues both trivial and paramount. A good friend is an observer. A good friend is there for a reason because he or she wants to be there. Friendship is not merely a matter of use, of a strategic position on the chessboard, nor even a consequence of common likes and dislikes, but of significant understanding helping to build the earthquake-proof inner monuments needed to survive life. Starting in self-esteem, expanding to the respect of others, to discovering the value of companionship, and finally to finding love. Friendship is the mortar if the people you choose are the bricks. As it should be for function leading to form, leading to meaning and design, so it is for friendship. Traditionally, you indeed become close to other people through what brought you together, whether work, an event, or an ex-boyfriend's cousin. You dance around each other for a while, and the relationship starts to take shape as a concept, perhaps even as an ideal because you like each other so much so fast. You then dig deeper to see if you have form in common, if you look at the world the same way. And then the reasons why you look at the world the same way start popping up. Where do you come from? What happened to you? Who are you? All a part of the hopefully internal and implicit questionnaire, but one that must allow time to guide it. For artificially compelled proceedings, as in bodybuilding, never quite develop gracefully. Even as a part of amorous coupling, friendship needs time to take hold. Having been conned by the exaggerations of Danielle Steele into believing that love conquers all, we are dumbfounded to find, 7 or so years in, that an itch has started to spread. A skin disorder I consider neither a lack of love nor a particularly sudden desire to fuck everything that moves. Rather, an underestimation of the value of friendship within the confines of romance, and a subject about which I will have more to say in its own chapter. Time is not only friendship's ally, it is its main fuel line. Able to push us past first and second impressions to the 39th, when you finally see him passionate enough to take an unpopular stance, to the 73rd, when you can't believe you've been close to each other this long and not known her to be allergic to cobalt, or to the decisive 107th, when you fight for the first time and it is not a deal breaker. Again, the examination of these stages of friendship might seem unemotional from where you're sitting, but I feel it is necessary in fulfilling the promise of the bond. There can be a tremendous amount of intimacy, affection, even love between friends, and where there is love, there is risk. Matters of jealousy, ownership, parity, and ambition, normally the exclusive province of lovers, can intrude on a friendship and wake heretofore unsuspected feelings. You can experience your friends spending too much time with other friends as a cheat and feel deceived. It would be funny if it weren't already ironic that relationships so often considered casual can all of a sudden take on such importance when threatened by events both real and fantasized. Loin des yeux, loin du cœur, advances a French saying that hits this nail on the head. Far from sight, far from the heart. A clever twist on the overly minded English language equivalent that reminds us to keep the people we care about close, whether geographically or emotionally, so as to be able to grow from the nutrients their presence provides. Envy and resentment, which distract from enlightenment, are not invited to this party. This is for growers only, strictly, and exclusively for those willing to learn from the inevitable peculiarities bound to appear at times unsuspected. Oddness is unavoidable in newness, and newness is scary for members of an established group as they welcome further recruits to a club that had been heretofore closed to admissions. Either by way of invitation or fortune, new people present themselves at our doorsteps in various stages of life, and if they are not readily accepted by the elders, bear the burden of evaluation. So be it. Let it take time, take root, take effort. But let it be a process filled with anticipation to discover references yet unframed, not fear of dissolution. There is no fiefdom to guard, no barricade to storm, no one to protect, for the group is a dynamic, not a memorial to connections made in days of yore that could be torn down by mere addition. The group is a live entity that should at least consider absorption before decreeing rejection. If friendship stands still, in time it will perish, victim to prudence and an unreasonable attachment to the status quo. Support is defined by development, not comfort, by evolution, not sufficiency, by progress, not relief, and most of all, by choice, not compliance. And in our very busy urban lives, we have to make a point of sustaining friendships. I miss my friends terribly when I do not see them enough. They hold a unique position in my life as the people I have chosen and vice versa, from which I have learned so much and cannot wait to learn more. For them, I break previous engagements. I bend whatever rules need to be bent. I care when they say something complimentary, and I care when they are critical. With my friends, I'm emotionally naked and often actually wearing just a bathrobe. These kinds of friendships grow slowly. An increasing frequency or intensity of contact makes little difference. If anything needs intensification, it is appreciation. People tend to think that friendships are really about the things you do with and for friends, when these are but the shadows of friendship. And if you leave them at that, you will be left in the dark. That pun is naturally intended. Don't just do. Be. There is no denying that friends are a large part of one's ecosystem, and later in life they are harder to make anew. At my advanced age, I'm lucky to feel rather set. A very small and pretty set, one that has moved beyond the need for reflection to become an adventure in humanism, ready and willing to step ashore onto beaches unfouled, where each new discovery is the guiding footprint in the sand, a crack in the door left for opportunity to knock.